Hello and welcome to Beyond the Bio. This week, my guest is Sarah Austin. Sarah is a leading voice in British business and a passionate advocate for celebrating inspirational entrepreneurship. As the founder and director of the Lloyds British Business Excellence Awards, she has built the UK's largest and most prestigious awards programme, shining a spotlight on the very best of British business. Alongside the awards, Sarah is the driving force behind Empowered Events, an end-to-end events management company delivering extraordinary experiences for some of the most recognised names in British business. Sarah's personal mission is to celebrate and support women in business at all levels. She supports women wherever possible to help grow their careers and inspire business ideas. I cannot wait to speak to her, so let's get stuck in. Welcome, Sarah Austin, to Beyond the Bio. Really excited to have this conversation with you because I'm a huge fan of your awards and I promote them at every opportunity because I think they're very credible and excellent awards. But let's go back a little bit in time and tell us about how these awards came about. How long have they been going and what is the origin story of the awards?
So it's a bit of a unusual story, probably. Firstly, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about the awards and I guess life as a businesswoman in general. So the awards actually, I've worked in awards since, well, I actually did work experience on these awards when I was 17, grew up in Yorkshire and I basically knew I always wanted to work in events. And when I was 17, someone invited me for work experience because I wanted to get more into the events industry. So I came down on the train to London. I was absolutely terrified, came to the Grosvenor House and I just saw it all. I was like, wow, what a show. It was a sea of tuxedos and ball gowns, more tuxedos back in those days. And I was doing all the odd jobs, handing out leaflets and this, that, and the other, table planning and just helping where I could. And I loved it and I got the buzz. So cut to, I went to university, graduated and told them I'd graduated. And they said, well, that's lucky. There's a job that's come up. So I remember my first week, which was actually the judging, which was all very nerve wracking. And that used to take place at the top of the Gherkin building in London. And basically I worked on what was called the National Business Awards at that time. It was owned by a big FTSE company, worked my way internally, and that company was then acquired by Informa, and I then became the director of the awards eventually, as well as looking after lots of other award ceremonies as well. But I really felt like during that time I was basically steering the ship myself within this big business. I always saw the value that it brought, and I knew that it was a bit of a hidden gem within this bigger business that was mainly exhibition focused. So cut to 2019, I had my baby and went on maternity leave and then came back from maternity leave during the pandemic. And obviously the events world was a very different place. So I came back, I could see what was happening, and they said that they weren't focusing at all, obviously, on awards events because we just didn't know what was going to happen with them. But I knew in my heart of hearts, I was like, right, well, I know these are going to come back and I know they're going to be bigger and better. And really, when I looked at, what it was that I did, nobody really understood it at the time. So we parted ways. I then set up my business, and after a week of wallowing in self-pity, I was like, right, now I'm going to do it. I'm going to set up this business. I'm going to launch the British Business Excellence Awards. And all of the relationships with the sponsors, in particular Lloyds Bank, they were mine. They were my close relationships. And so I pitched it to all the same sponsors and all the same advisory board members, and everyone said, yes, right, we'll back you. And that was January 2021. And that was our first year in 2021. So we started with, with quite an amazing launch, and we had, we did a massive national campaign. I had about 800 people in the room in 2021. So it was, for a year one, not bad.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of grown each year. So we, are now heading into our fourth edition for 2025, and we are due to sell out. We'll have over 1,000 people in the room, possibly 1,100. It's looking like. We've had more entries this year than we've ever had, which, again, in this year, I did honestly think we might struggle, but actually we found that the determination, grit of all the businesses within our community have just completely outshone that. So yeah, it's really, I call this my other baby. The awards really are my other baby, and I care about them so much because obviously now it's mine, it's my business, it's my real passion to ensure that we're always doing the right thing.
That's amazing. There's so much to unpick from what you've just said there. I feel like maybe I've judged every year then. I thought maybe I hadn't, but maybe I have. If this is
Yeah,
fourth year, I have. So
yeah.
I didn't realize I was there from year one. Oh, I feel really special now. That's exciting. Wow, that's amazing. So there's so much to your awards as well, because it's not just that big glitzy ceremony at Grosvenor House. And there's lots of things that I like about your awards, and I think one of the big selling points of entering your awards is that community aspect and the fact that you do other events around the event. So you have the drinks at the House of Commons in the summer, so the summer drinks. You then have the finalist drinks, don't you, which you've just done last week at the time of this recording. And as well as that, within the application process, all the finalists obviously get invited to come and pitch to the judging panel, which I think is pretty unique. There's not many awards programs that do that. So is that community aspect, has that been something that existed already, or is that something that you've brought in?
I think the judging processes have always been this way. I think in reality, to run the UK's largest business awards program, you cannot do it without seeing the whites of the eyes of everyone who comes into the program and becomes a finalist. And yes, you're right. We do pride ourselves on building this sense of community, and you do that through this series of events and smaller events that people might not necessarily know about as well across the year. And I've run many award ceremonies in my career, which are very sector specific, and you book a comedian, you can hand out the trophies, but this awards program just isn't about that. It's about really getting to the real nitty gritty of what is happening in UK businesses right now. And so that's how I build the relationships with our finalists. My finalists are my customers. They're the people I really want to speak to and learn from as well. And I'm sure you might agree, again, being a judge, you learn so much from meeting these businesses. So we kind of split the year into two halves. So we have our entry campaign, which starts in February, March time. We obviously, that's when we're going out. We launch our campaigns to make sure that we speak to all the right people.
Can people sign up to a wait list to know when it's going to come out, or do they just need to follow this? Yeah, okay. So that would be available now, that people can sign up
Yeah.
to find out about it.
And one thing that we do, and we really went for it this year on doing that, was we launch what we call our entry calls. And basically, people can just book a quick Zoom with myself or a member of the team. And it's 15-20 minutes. And I just gain what I can from the business in that time and advise them on the best category for them. So it's complimentary. We just want to make sure, because I would say actually with these types of things, the biggest mistake that people make is going into the wrong category. I have the joy of speaking to these businesses from May to the end of June. That's our entire entries campaign. And yes, so we invite everybody who's entered into the programme to the House of Commons, where we have our annual terrace reception. It's quite a hot ticket in town that people want to get. It's usually a beautiful sunny day, and we again get the pleasure of meeting all of these businesses. And me with my connecting hat on, I just make sure that they're meeting all of the right people. And it's lovely because everyone's on the same wavelength at that point. Nobody knows if they're a finalist or not. Then we batten down the hatches at the beginning of July, and that's when we do all of our shortlisting processes. Then in mid-July, that's when we announce all of our finalists. They bask in the glory over the summer. And then we have our judging processes that I touched on before in September, which you've been part of, where we invite all of the finalists to London, to 10 Trinity Square Business Club, part of the Four Seasons, and they present to a panel. And then we have our finalist drinks reception, which is hosted, well, last week we hosted it at BAFTA. That's an event that I work with Lloyds on. Lloyds hosts that particular event. And again, that's another sort of level playing field where everyone really celebrates the fact that they're a finalist. And regardless of what happens at the event next month, people, have that celebration and can take that moment just to take a step back and think, God, I've done really well here. And then we have the main event on the 11th of November. That's You're All Singing, All Dancing. But again, I don't like to just book a comedian and hand out a load of awards. We like to leave a thought in people's minds. And so, part of that last year, we had an acceptance of an award from Trinny Woodall, who gave a really powerful speech. We did an on-stage interview with Tom Kerridge about his business experiences. The year prior to that, we had David Harewood come, and we did an on-stage interview with Naga Munchetty, and we also had an address from the Chancellor at the time, Jeremy Hunt. So it really is, it's a celebration. The tone of the event is really important to me. It's a celebration, but we're not going to ignore what's happening within business at in that time. And then this year, actually, I'm really delighted to announce also that all the winners will be invited to London Stock Exchange on the 2nd of December, where they'll all be able to open the market as well. It gives you an idea of it's not just about the night itself. That's just one small part of this ginormous.
That is so cool. How do you kind of, that sort of thing there that you just said about the stock exchange, that is super cool. How did you organize that or think of that as an idea?
So I have some incredible advisory board members who are very helpful. Okay. And so really, and like I said, it's people like yourselves. People are always promoting the awards and always speaking to new organizations about how they can best support growing British businesses. And so that's how that came about, is through our advisory board who helped me. And
I'm so coming to that. If we're allowed to come, I'm so going to that.
An early start, Sophie. It's an early start.
It would be worth it. I love that. What a brilliant idea. So with the community bit, what kind of advice would you give to people that are entering your awards program and getting invited to all of these things? How can they best use that? Because as you say, yes, winning is amazing. Of course it is. But you've got all these opportunities in the lead up. What advice are you giving people to say, make the most of this?
Well, it's exactly that.
Yeah, it's not just about getting pissed with your mates, is it? It's got to be a bit more, the celebration, yes, it's important, but the networking.
Exactly. It's exactly that. And it's utilize every single opportunity that is put in front of you. And what I also say to people is, yes, we do charge for entries. It's about £299. And we try and keep that price flat, or as flat as we can each year. Because what I say to people is, use it as your marketing line, put it as a marketing spend, because this, if you think about 300 quid, but you get invited to the House of Commons, BAFTA, the main event, possibly the London Stock Exchange, 10 Trinity, where you do your judging process, where I also say to people, it's almost like you get half an hour free advice from an NED, and you once you've presented your business, which I honestly think, you have to send senior people as well from that who can talk about your business. Obviously, if you're a founder-led business, founder come along, but really utilize that opportunity, because you're getting complimentary advice and questions and the opportunity to take that time to sit back and reflect on what you've done. And then again, at all these other events, when you're meeting fellow finalists, because it's not a sector specific award, it takes away that sort of awkwardness of oh yeah, both in facilities management, so or everyone's trying to vie for the same business. It's not. You could have a bakery up against someone, facilities management up against a fashion brand. So it's really interesting who you meet through the process.
And it's you and your team that do the initial shortlisting to get the finalists to this pitching stage. What are the biggest green flags that you're seeing in these entries to make you want to shortlist them?
the biggest green flags are properly audited accounts that are presented and numbers.
And do
That's
you ask for those, or are you just suggesting that they
we
include?
we ask for profit turnover from the past 3 years and what your forecast is. And when that is beautifully presented, that is a beautiful green flag for us. And also people who stick to the criteria. It's just so important to stick to the criteria. That's what I said. And really, from more of my personal perspective of what I try and tell people to do is from the heart. Talk about the really some of the bad stuff as well, because actually we know it's not all, "Oh, this was amazing, and then we made loads of money and we've just consistently got all of this, that and the other, and all our team love it." No, we know that's not the truth all the time. So please talk about the learnings, because that will actually probably get you further.
You were saying before about people can take the opportunity to have a call with you to decide which category would be best for you to give them a steer. When you're looking at their entries, if they've blatantly applied for the wrong category, do you ever move people into a different one?
Yeah, we have done in the past. And that's something that I don't like to do it, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, you're doing it for the right reason, though, aren't you? To give them a better chance.
Exactly. And it also, helps me shape the categories and the criteria moving forward.
Yeah.
So even again, just through our judging processes last month, Sophie, you and I have even had a few conversations about how we shape, in particular, our small business category moving forward. So, we've had so many entries this year. I could have made an entire award ceremony in itself just out of some of our categories. It was so hotly contested. So it's something that we have to really, really look at in detail and make sure that we get it right for the next year.
What would your advice be to any founders that are thinking we're not ready to enter yet, or maybe next time? What advice would you give to them?
I would say it leads back to that, put it on your marketing line. This is probably some of the best money you'll spend on your marketing budget. And there are businesses that enter that aren't necessarily in profit yet. So it doesn't mean that you have to have all this financial success in order to get through. Tell the story, tell them where you are, and actually, using an award of this nature might just propel you to that next level because it gets you noticed. And don't get me wrong, there are people swimming around these categories as well. As soon as we announce our finalists, investors, all these potential private equity houses, and they're looking at the list and they're looking at these businesses that want the recognition and might just need that next step of advice and investment.
That's really sensible. So looking ahead for the awards, what have you got bigger plans to have spin-offs of some of these? You mentioned there that there's some categories where they could be their own awards program. Is that something that's on your radar?
I mean, I'm always thinking of the next idea and what we can do, but I always have to remember I'd lead it back to what are my missions and my personal values, and that is, to do the right thing and to celebrate the very best of British business. And I have a real personal passion to ensure that we are promoting the female founders in this country. So our female founder category this year was just phenomenal. I
saw it. I saw that list and I thought that would be a tough panel to be on.
I mean, a lot of the panels had a really tough day in deciding upon the winner and the high commendation, but that one in particular did. We had tears from finalists, tears from judges. The passion is there. So I am now working again with my advisory board, with judges, just to make sure that we are supporting a lot of those founders where we can. For example, as well, like with the female founders, for people who entered but didn't get through, I have given them a nice rate for them to actually still come to the ceremony, and we'll do lots of press and PR around them, because I still feel very passionately that they need to have that recognition of even just putting themselves forward. It's really important that we talk more about female founders in this country. So that's just one thing that I'm thinking of. We've launched this year as well our Excellence Exchange events, which are more small, intimate lunches where we go around the table, speak to previous winners as well, and our alumni, bring them together with current finalists and the judges and advisory board members, and we simply go around the table and talk about what's happening in the community, in their community, and what people, it's an advice exchange basically session. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to doing lots more of in 2026 as well. So yeah, the sky's the limit.
And do you do other events aside from this? Is this a part of your business? It's not the whole thing, or is it?
Yeah, so we have another side of the business, which is that we simply run events for people as well. So, like I said, we've got this bank of incredible experts. So, I would say, you know, the BBAs is really a passion of mine, and we can fill our time throughout the year simply doing that because it's got so many events within it. But we also run conferences and awards. I am always being asked for advice on how to shape and an awards launch in particular. I think a lot of people think that awards are like just book some trophies and book a venue, but there's just so much more to it to do it and do it properly. Yeah, so that's just another side of it that we do as well.
It all fits really well together. Do you find that you're getting leads for the rest of the business from doing the Expo Awards? Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of finalists sort of come to us and say, "Oh, wow, that was, you know, that magnificent event. We do this massive internal conference for 500 people. Could you help us with that?" And it can lead to that as well. But
Right.
I have to make sure that we don't take on too much. You know, I don't want to be sat exhausted at the end of the year thinking, "God, was that, you know, did something suffer because we were doing something else?" So I'm very mindful of that.
Well, I'm very excited to hit Grosvenor House in a few weeks' time. I mean, last year was pretty special. It's going to take a lot to beat that, I think, but I'm sure you are up to the job.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's the thing with events. Every time you finish it, I'm like, oh my Lord, how are we going to top that next year? But we somehow do. And it's, you know, there's always something to talk about as well. There's going to be something new. There's going to be new challenges each year. There'll be something that we haven't thought about. This year in particular for the event, my real passion is including as many finalists as possible from the community to promote their businesses. So, for example, I mean, it's such a shame you couldn't come to the BAFTA event last week, but we invited the finalists the product-led finalists to send products that we gave out in our bags of excellence, we called them. So we had products from Tropic, who skincare is one of our mid-market businesses. We had soap from the Little Soap Company, products from Rehab Hair. We had charity products from Scamp and Dude. So really, you know, sending that message of, you know, this is what the finalists are actually doing. Then at the main event this year, and it's going to be a UK awards first, we've actually got a kinetic dance floor coming to the event, which is made by another one of our finalists, PaveGen. So the movement of people at the event on these kinetic floor tiles will generate energy to offset the carbon that we produce from actually hosting the event.
Cool.
Yeah, so you know, my main message will be get dancing, get walking over there, get, you know, jumping up and down. And then as more energy that we create means that it's the more trees that we are planting, again, to offset. And the trees aren't going to be planted in Peru through some scheme. They're going to be planted on another one of our finalists' farm in Oxfordshire. And that's where we're going to have our BBA forest.
Amazing.
So,
this is so cool. I cannot wait. I've got one final question that's just popped into my head before we wrap up. Are you entering awards for you and for your business?
weirdly, given that I spend my time promoting everyone else, I haven't done it for myself, no. But
There's an opportunity there, I think. All these sort of years now under your belt in terms of making it better and having the numbers behind it, the stats, the stories, all the stuff that you're telling your entrants to do. You've got all of that, and you've got your story as a female founder as well. And I think there's something really powerful there. So maybe if I spot another awards, I'll give you a nudge and say, I think you should apply for this one, Sarah.
well, that's what you're very good at doing, though, Sophie, as well. Of like, encouraging founders, entrepreneurs to tell their story. So, and I think you do that really wonderfully. So, yeah, I think it's funny. It's not been on my own radar, but maybe it should be.
It's the same with everyone, with whatever business they're in. That's always the way. It is quite funny though, isn't it? Okay, well, one to go on your own marketing plan for next year, I think. Awesome. So, Sarah, you mentioned before that there's a wait list for people to sign up to hear about when the awards reopen for 2026. So we'll make sure we pop a link to that in the show notes, make it really easy for people to get all of the information. If anyone listening or watching isn't already connected to you, is LinkedIn the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, LinkedIn, or just, my email's on the website for BBAs, and my team are there as well. Just pop any questions through. Obviously, like I said, we've got, it's very much in our 2025 cycle at the moment, but we are burrowed away, making sure that we're ready, because that's our biggest, the event's on the 11th of November. The 12th of November is when we have our biggest sort of influx on the website.
Wow,
yeah.
Okay. Well, which makes sense, I guess. But yeah, because everyone wants to be part of it because it's so fun.
And it's like the chief, it's the ultimate FOMO happens basically on the 12th of November.
I get it. Well, we'll make it really easy for people to find you and find those links, and we'll pop them all in the show notes.
Thank you. And thank you, Sophie, for all your judging expertise and your support over the years. It means a great deal to me.
Thank you for listening. If you're serious about growing your profile, take our free profile assessment quiz to see where you're at right now and get hints and tips on how to improve your score. You'll find the link to the quiz in the show notes. If you've enjoyed the episode, it would be mint if you'd subscribe, like, and leave a review. See you next Monday.